Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Rosaura Orengo Aguayo, and I'm an associate professor at the Medical University of South Carolina and a clinical psychologist, and this year's ABCT program chair. I'm here with my colleague.
My name is Emily Thomas. I'm a clinical assistant professor at the University of Iowa, a clinical psychologist, and this year's associate program chair.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be one of our program reviewers. You should have received an email or will receive an email from Stephen Crane with a link to access the portal where you'll be doing your ratings, submitting your ratings through Cadmium. If you have not received this information with your username and access key, please reach out to Stephen Crane. So the purpose of this brief video is to show you what the portal looks like, give you some tips on the review criteria and how we've changed some things this year. And hopefully this will aid you in your review process. So Emily, I'm going to share my screen and you can take it away.
Perfect. Thank you. So step one, and perhaps the most important, is to get logged in. So you'll use your username and an access key. Perfect. Okay. And so once you log in, you'll see the review scorecard, which will allow you to click into the reviews that you have to complete. You can see here that we have two, these are sham reviews for us to review today in the video. Okay, so this first one is a panel discussion. So you'll see the submission type up in the upper left corner. You can also see the category and the submission status. Then you'll also see information about the abstract. So this will include the second choice of category as well as the keywords, the abstract body, of course, and then the recommended readings. You'll also see the learning objectives. Okay, and then we've added several questions that will help you in your ratings, or we hope they will. So this will be supplementary information, and we want you to base your ratings based on the responses from the authors. So first is describe how your submission aligns with the convention theme. So as you'll see, as we walk through the criteria, you'll be asked to rate how this submission relates to the convention theme. You can review the convention theme right in this portal, and you'll be asked to rate how significantly these overlap. And this rating should be based on what the authors provide you in that example. And we'll walk through those criteria more specifically in a second. Second, you'll see the contributing team. So these descriptions are to be brief and de-identified, but this should not tell you who the presenters or the co-authors are, but about their expertise in this area. So this could be a summary of any relevant information. And this in particular for the panels and the clinical roundtables, we really want to emphasize representation here, and not just in terms of the individual's expertise in research, but stakeholders, people with lived experience, people with clinical experience. So has this person led a training? Are they certified in this particular area? And we want to ensure that we're including diverse perspectives. So people across career stages, people across different identities, whether gender identity, race and ethnicity, these sorts of things. And so please attend to each of these issues with the goal of providing the most representative content and the strongest content at our convention this year.
Something to note as well is that reviewers this year will not be privy to the names of the submissions. Submissions are masked.
Yes, and so yes, so you will not have the names. So this can't be based on name recognition. This should be based on their summary specifically. And then lastly, how relevant is the submission to ABCT's mission and strategic goals, which is listed there. And so again, we want you to base this rating off of what the authors enter into this box. So now let's turn it over to the actual criteria that you'll be rating. And these have been revamped quite a bit. And so I'm going to go into a bit of depth about each. But my number one piece of advice that I'd like to leave you with is to review the criteria for each different type of submission. So panel, symposia, poster, clinical roundtable, or spotlight very carefully, as we've catered in each individual presentation types review criteria to make sure that they're very appropriate, because as you might imagine, what makes a panel significant may be different than what makes a poster or symposia presentation significant. So to begin with significance, each of these items will be rated on a scale from 0 to 4, with 0 being poor and 4 being excellent. And that'll be across every single one of these criteria. And the significance is intended to refer to the impact of the conceptual topic being discussed on the field of cognitive behavioral science. And for something like a symposia or a poster, this is going to be representative of the impact of the study on the field of cognitive behavioral science. So this could include scientific knowledge as well as clinical practice. Okay, so next is the approach. So the approach is going to be focused on the quality of the evidence presented in the abstract to support the proposed topic of discussion. So this doesn't need to be that the authors themselves in this panel have conducted many randomized trials or program evaluations of this method. It's that they have presented that there is evidence for this approach, and they provided perhaps a variety of evidence. So they might be talking about randomized trials, they might be using more qualitative data or program evaluation data. All of this is what we're intending to support, is that there's support for the approach itself. In the symposia and poster, as well as the spotlight presentations, what we're asking about is the quality of the research approach. So this could be the strategy, the methodology, and the analyses, and quality is operationalized as the extent to which the study aims were accomplished by the selected methodology. And important for these sorts of presentations is that the statistical analyses must be completed in advance of the meeting. So while they may not always be in the abstract, there should be an indication that they have a plan and that these analyses will be done in advance of the meeting in November of 2022. Again, you'll be rating this on a 0 to 4. Okay, next is innovation. And so this is going to be asking you to rate the extent to which the panel discusses a topic with the potential to shift research or clinical practice paradigms. It could also introduce novel theoretical models, approaches or procedures, mechanisms, things of this sort. But it needs to shed light on an innovative concept that has the potential to impact our cognitive behavioral science field. With respect to presentations like symposia, posters, or spotlights, this is going to ask you to rate the extent to which the study has the potential to shift research or clinical practice paradigms. So not a whole lot different, but the difference between innovation and significance is innovation is really asking about the novelty or the contribution of this to shift paradigms, whereas significance is asking about whether or not this will have an impact on the field of cognitive behavioral science, regardless of the novelty. So just as they would ask us to do at NIH, we'll have to separate significance and innovation. Okay, moving on to inclusion of diverse populations. So across each of these presentations, this criterion is going to read similarly, where we will ask you to rate the extent to which the presentation addresses a topic related to diverse populations, including traditionally underrepresented groups and individuals across the lifespan, or presents a topic that clearly states the implications for diverse populations. So we are, as a committee, aware that not every study can perfectly represent all populations, and every study may have bearing on future research or on clinical services that impact diverse populations. And so this needs to be addressed in the abstract in order for an individual to score highly on this. And so you'll see again, 0 to 4 as promised. Okay, now appropriateness to convention theme. So again, this is going to be rated based on the writings of the authors. And so you will see this text up above. This is the first piece that they've completed. What this will ask you to do is rate whether or not the submission is relevant to this year's theme, and on a scale from highly to no relevance to this year's convention theme. This question will be the exact same across all submission types. Okay, moving on, very similar story here with the relevance to ABCT's mission and goals. Again, you'll see the goals are stated. You'll once again base this on what they put in the relevance prompt in their abstract submission. And you'll again rate whether it's particularly relevant or appears to have no relevance on a scale from 0 to 4. Okay, and then finally, contributing team. So this question is about the expertise of the contributing team. This includes both the presenters and the co-authors to present about the topic that they've proposed. So this could be relevant training, supervision that they've received, research and scholarship, service delivery, teaching. And again, we want to include a range of diverse perspectives here. So this could be people who have lived experience, clinicians, community stakeholders, consumers of clinical services, anything of this sort. But again, this should be based on the justification provided by the submitters in the portal. And so you'll have access to that again above. And once again, this will be rated on a scale from 0 to 4. So you will enter in each of your reviews. Then at the bottom there, you'll see the button that says Save Review. And you'll also see at the bottom your sort of progress meter. So you'll see, okay, I have 0 completed reviews, 2 incomplete, and 0 recused. Now, what are the reasons you should recuse yourself? So because we are masked this year in terms of the reviews, you won't be able to see this. But if you have somebody's proposal who comes to you and you think, this is my graduate students, or this comes from my lab, that's certainly a situation in which you should recuse yourself. Or if, say, you're a consultant or a co-investigator on a grant, or a clinician who you work really closely with and maybe have consulted on a case that may be coming up. Any of these sorts of situations are those in which you should recuse yourself. If you have a question about whether or not you should, please feel free to reach out to us with those questions. We'd be happy to navigate that with you. And we anticipate there'll be far fewer recusals necessary when we remove names associated with presentations, which should hopefully make your life a bit easier. That's all I have. Rosar, did you have anything additional that you wanted to add?
Great job, Emily. So once you have indicated all your reviews, you will click Save Review, and that will mark as completed, and you can scroll to any other assigned submissions. Please be mindful of the submission type as the criteria wording changes. So I'm going to stop sharing here. And I think the last thing that we'll say is that please be mindful of the deadline that you receive on your email. My understanding so far, it's late April 20th. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Stephen Crane, who will be giving you that access key for any issues with the website. So thank you so much for your attention, and we're very grateful for your service to ABCT.
Thank you. And please review the reviewer guide as well. If you have practical questions on how to navigate the website, there'll be a document that you can reference with exactly what to click and where. Thanks so much.
Thank you.